Hey everybody, it's Erin Reed Makes with Graphics, and today we're going to talk about wet media film Dura Lar. I'm going to show you 5 different techniques that make this film absolutely amazing. But before we jump in and I show you the 5 techniques, let's talk a little bit about what Dura Lar is all about. Dura Lar is an archival polyester film treated on both sides to accept water-based mediums, markers, and inks. The package itself is 0.004 wet media film, and when you open it up, you can see that you have the film, and in between each layer, you have a layer of tissue just to protect it. So when you're ready to work with your first piece, just go ahead and tear it out, and it's this clear film as you see right here. So I'm using a paper trimmer and it cuts just like it would for paper, as you can see right here. And I'm going to cut this up into 4-inch squares so that way we can see all the different techniques on a little bitty square, just like this. And also just to show, here we have a little piece and how easy it is also to cut with scissors. Anything that you would need to cut with the Dura Lar, I know it's really hard to see because it's clear. You can easily cut it with scissors, die cuts, your paper trimmers, all those kinds of things. Punches work beautifully. The Dura Lar is able to take all kinds of wet mediums, including things like stencil butters, paints, watercolors, gouaches, all kinds of things, and we're going to play with a stencil. So you can layer a stencil over top of your Dura Lar medium. We're going to take a little bit of this beautiful stencil butter, and it's just a really, really thick paste, which is gorgeous. So we're going to take some of this. Turn my stencil around because I like it a little bit better that way. And I'm putting this on a dark color surface because I want to be able to, that you can see where this is. Because if it's on the clear, you're not going to see it. So the tan is purely just for you to visibly see it. Because when it's here, you can't see it very well. All right, so place this down. And we're just going to give it a light coat. I'm not even worried about covering the entire thing. I'm just kind of playing around and adding some layers. Just like that. And then lift up, and look at that, look how beautiful that is. Now, as with anything, you need to let this dry, so we're going to set this off to the side, and I'll show you what it looks like after it's dried for a little bit. Next thing you can do is that because this is clear, guess what? You can see through it, which means that you can trace. So I've got this really cute book called Kawaii Birdies, and we're going to flip this open, and we are going to trace on here. So I want to trace these beautiful flowers, and I'm pulling out my Marvy Yakuta Le Pen. So everybody loves these beautiful Le Pens. So this is an alcohol marker on top of the Dura Lar, and because it is see-through, we can trace through it. So look how easy this is. I can come in and I can pick any drawing. Here we go. And I can, as long as I don't move it around, that's the key thing, is not to move it, I can trace. Now with anything, you're going to want to let it sit and dry for just a tiny bit. You don't want to rub it right away because it will move the marker around. So just give it a little bit of time. I forgot my little circle right there. There we go. And just let it do its thing. There we go. So look how easy this is. I can come in and I can mark, and think of any of those beautiful books that you might have, any of those images, pattern papers. You can come in and you can trace them and give yourself some really wonderful detail. Look at that. Let me go back on the brown again so you can really see that. Look at that. There that is. Isn't that pretty? Now again, you want to let this dry for a quick hot minute so that way it doesn't smear and smudge. We'll come back and we're going to add some other layers to that. Now we have another sheet of paper, and I don't want to mark on top of this because I want to play with the layers of this. So you can come on top, layer one of these on top of the other, and I have some watercolors. So this is a watercolor set that is from Faber-Castell, and I'm going to be playing around with, I'm going to mimic the colors that are from the book. So I'm going to mimic the colors that we have in this book, which are the yellow, the orange, and the green. I have it just off page here so you guys can't see that. And I'm going to go ahead, I've already pulled some of the green right here, and I'm going to pull some yellow. So I'm going to come in here with this yellow orange, get these wet, and get all right in here. All right, so I'm pulling a little bit of yellow right here. And now, because this is on top, I'm going to come in and I'm going to just watercolor where the layers are supposed to be. Now, because this is a plastic, it's a poly-coated film, you're going to want to just be a little heavy on the pigment. If you go too light, it's going to become a little transparent, which is a cool effect as well. It's very neat to have that kind of effect. But I'm just going to come in and just kind of watercolor, almost like just coloring in the, like I'm coloring in the space. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to look, this was also a leaf right here. I'm double checking with my image to make sure I'm getting the parts that are petals, not leaves, sorry. And this right here is a leaf, but this is a petal. There we go. And this is also a petal. And this is a petal. There we go. Now I'm gonna also play in and grab a little bit of some darker color and add some fun dark, just some texture to this, because I can. A little bit of orange in here. It's kind of playing, just moving it around. I mean, I've got the space to allow the paint to move. So now I can come in and I can play around with this. And I'm adding heavy pigment, but I can also water it down a little bit. So if I want to add some more water to this, change up my brush. And this is just one of the paints that you can use. You can use many, many different types of wet paints, gouaches, and watercolors, acrylics. They all work wonderfully on here. Right now we're just playing with watercolor. Oh my God, look how fun that is. Okay, so now we're gonna come in and we're gonna do the center. I'm gonna pick up this really, really brilliant red. That's gonna be for the center here. There we go. Keeping it nice and simple. And I'm gonna clean off my brush. All right, so I'm gonna pick up some of the green. I got a couple of greens here. Kind of go into the green that I already have. There we go. And then now I'm gonna come in and fill in the green. Now this is really wet comparatively to where I was. This is very, very wet. You can actually see the movement of the water. So here you can tell because I've got a lot more water on this one comparatively. You can see it kind of moving around. There we go. And there it is. Just to show you what they look like separate, here's where they are separate, and I'm gonna pop this one underneath again, and you can see there they are when they're layered on top. This is the beautiful thing about the wet media Dura Lar film, is that you can have it be separate and they can have a really cool effect, or you can layer them and you can see all the fun layers on top of each other. But we're gonna let these dry separate. Another fun technique is alcohol ink. So here I have a couple of alcohol inks. This one, you can't even see the color anymore, but I've got boysenberry, and we're gonna go with pinky red because I can't tell what the color is anymore. It's got some issues. And so we're gonna move this around. So here, oh, it just drops right out. We're gonna play around with that. Look how cool. It spreads, it blooms, it has all kinds of fun reactions to it. Really has some cool texture. And then we're gonna do the same. We're gonna add another one. We're gonna play with the colors here. There it is, look at that. And it can really like spread and bloom and just have all kinds of cool techniques. You can even come in with a little air blower. So if you've ever seen one of these crazy looking things, and you can move it around and get some cool splatter techniques and just really neat kind of movement to it. And then if you've got alcohol, so I actually put alcohol in an old bottle, I'm gonna actually take this off and I'm gonna put a couple of drops. And you can really kind of see what happens. Look at that. It's just giving this really kind of cool blooms and really neat textures. And then I can come in with the air again and move it around. This is gonna take a second to dry. The alcohol is actually the fastest thing to dry on here. And it just has some really, really neat kind of cool properties. And look at that, isn't that neat? It's just so pretty. And again, you could use either side. So you can work on this side and with any of the products, and you can actually have it be seen from the other side. So it's just really up to you which side you want to have portrayed, because it looks cool on both sides. But we're gonna let this dry too. The last technique is taking this and adding texture to it. So here I have an embossing folder. This is one of the new Catherine Pooler embossing folders with Sizzix. And we're gonna place this right in the middle. This one's kind of cool because it's got 4 different textures. So we're gonna create a little grid pattern here. And then we're gonna close this up and just run it through. Now you can add heat to the Dura Lar if you would like to, but it also works without adding heat, which I think is really fun. And then you just pass it right on through. Make sure you have the correct sandwich. You have the big plate, your embossing folder, and the thin plate on top. And you can hear it kind of doing a little creak and crack. There it goes. And then when it comes out, look at that. It has this really, let me put it on top of that paper again, and you can really see that texture. So we've got 4 different colors of texture, 4 different kinds of texture on here, and it just really has this kind of neat, cool effect. You can always come in and add color to this and do other fun things, but it just is really neat that you can add some texture to this and then you can play around with it. So the last fun stage is showing you how you can layer these. So we're gonna start with the background layer, and then we're gonna bring in the front layer. It'll show it a little bit. We're gonna do our texture layer. Then we have our background of our flowers, and then we have our watercolor flowers, and it creates a fun little mini book. Now, you have the option, if you ever want to make yourself a little mini book like this, is to put another sheet of paper in the background so you can see everything, but I like the look of it staying clear. Now, how do we put the whole thing together? How do we bind it? Well, remember we talked about how you can cut? Well, you can also punch. So I'm going to take the back layer. My little feet broke off this years ago, so I don't have feet. So we're going to take the back layer. So we're going to punch one hole, two holes kind of in the middle, and then a third hole all the way at the bottom. And now we've got 3 holes. They're not perfect, but they're close enough. And then I'm going to take my other layers and use them as a guide. And then just go ahead and punch the other holes just as you see. Some lacing here. I'm going to use the white one. I just like the white in this one. I'm going to pull off a section of this. This is leather lacing from Realeather. It's really nice. And we're going to go just kind of cut off a little section. Start at the top. Pull it through. And then wind it back in on itself. This creates the first little bit. And then we're going to tie a knot to close this off. Just a little square knot. Don't make it too tight because you do want to be able to turn the pages in your book, right? All right, so now we're going to come down. We're going to go to our second spot here. Come through. You want it tight, but not too tight, and then go back again. So it creates kind of a loop like this. Now I did go ahead and do one more punch because I felt like this space was too big. And so there is a 4th punch in here. So this has got 4 layers. So cross and then in. There it is. So you have this kind of cool cross cover effect. And then to the last spot down here again. So cross and then in. And then we're going to go through one more time, and this is where we're going to tie off our knot. We're going to pull it through here. And then we're going to go in through one of these little sections right here and tie off again. So just kind of pick one of the little holes or one of the little layers here, pull it through, and then tie your knot. And then it just kind of pulls off. I'm going to snip this one off. And you have your little book. And the cool thing is that you have all these cool layers going on in here, and every time you kind of peel it back, you're like, ooh, there's something. But you can look at each layer independently. There's texture to it. It's just all kinds of fun. And these are just some of the techniques that you can do with the .004 Wet Media Film Dura Lar from Grafix. Don't forget to check out all the other amazing videos over on the Grafix YouTube channel. There's so much amazing content there. Check it out, and thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye, everybody.